Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Jonny Lipsham.
Hello everybody and welcome to the first episode of Sunday Night Live in a little while. And I have to apologise for not doing one last Sunday. That's mostly because I have been most considerably unwell. I didn't actually have a speaking voice at all on Sunday. It's not been very nice, and oh, I forgot to turn notifications off. Let me do that right now. Yeah, I'm still not actually fully fit either. As you can probably hear, my voice is much lower than it should be in pitch. And that's nothing to do with sample rates or anything like that. That's just simply to do with the fact that I am still very much under the weather. And I've cranked up the compression to Hades on my voice. I know Jonny does that because his voice is very, very, very quiet because of his dysphonia. But in my case, I've just had flu, really bad flu. It's not COVID-19 or anything like that, which is good, but it's not been any fun at all. And so, yeah, so here we are. So I hope you like the Christmas decorations I have up around me. There's down in that corner there's a nice Christmas tree, and then we got some bells, we got Merry Christmas and all of that. It's kind of, it's beginning of December, and I figured that, since we are in December, that I should start kind of getting everybody into the Christmas spirit and everyone into the kind of mood for it. So that's what I'm doing. So these Christmas graphics are going to be up until kind of probably the end of the first week of January, and then everything will revert back to normal. Don't worry, there won't be any Christmas carols or Christmas music or anything like that, because I would automatically get copyright strikes. So we're not going down that road. But yeah, this is kind of where we are. So tonight will be interjected by lots of coughing. No doubt about that. So I will do my best. But the other thing to say is that this show is probably going to be a little bit short because I am kind of short on energy, that kind of stuff, and I have to work tomorrow. So yeah, I need to kind of have as much energy as I can muster for tomorrow. So I hope you guys appreciate that. So I'm going to do my best, and we will keep this to essentially just a Q&A for tonight, and then hopefully by the end of the week, I will be much more like my normal self, and we will kind of do normal shows, and we'll kind of do some more topic-related stuff. So if you guys have got suggestions for topics you would like me to cover on these Sunday Night Live shows, then please do email me, johnny@johnnylipshamstudios.co.uk, and I'm going to compile a list of all of your suggestions and just methodically work my way through them week by week. And yeah, it would be really cool if we could make these a lot more topic orientated and focused, so that you guys get the best out of these Sunday Night Lives, because that's what they're about. They're about you. I don't just do these because I like doing them. I do like doing them, but ultimately, if they are of no benefit to you guys, then there's not much point in doing them. So I don't want to go down that road where I'm just doing them for the sake of doing them. Because, at the moment with all the coronavirus thing going on and having my kids back at home again, I'm having to kind of suspend video making. But I fully intend to I have a list of videos I want to get done, and I fully intend to go right back to making videos as soon as my kids are more secure back at school. They've had an outbreak of COVID-19 at their school. So that kind of means that their two classes are self-isolating, so because their teachers have COVID-19. So certainly for the remainder of this week, and then the beginning of next week, the kids will still be here with me. And then hopefully they will be allowed to go back because their 14 days of isolation will be over and they can go back to school. My wife is back to work, so the house will go nice and quiet again, and I'll be doing my day job with Presonus, and then hopefully I can get back to making videos again. So that'll be good. Milestones that we have hit. We are at, according to YouTube, we are at 4,000 and something, 4,300? Is it 4,300? It's something like that, which is great. I'm just going to go and check, actually, just to be sure that I'm not giving you false information. We will see how many subscribers do we actually have. Let's go and have a look. 4,327. So we're getting close to 4,500, which would be awesome if we could pass that barrier by the end of January. And then hopefully by the end of 2021, we'll be into 5,000, which would be awesome. I'm looking at different ways in which I can expand this channel and make it more beneficial to you guys. Not just in terms of content, but in terms of ways in which you can interact directly with me and get more benefit out of the channel. So it's not just kind of like doing a weekly live stream. It's more than that, and inviting you guys into something that's a little bit more personal within the YouTube channel. So I'm kind of exploring a few of those avenues. So if those are kind of things that would interest you, such as, for example, memberships, becoming an actual member of my channel, not just kind of a subscriber, but taking an extra step into my world and becoming a member of my channel. If you're up for that, then that's something I can explore, because I have YouTube memberships available to me now, which is pretty cool. So that is an option that I'm exploring, whether it's going to be worthwhile doing and all of that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that as well. All right, so we are 8 minutes into the show, and I have non-stop talked for the whole time. So let's see. Sean Aaron was not only the first in the door, but actually donated $1, which is awesome. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that very much. Every penny counts, and it's very, very helpful. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thomas says, good morning. Sean Aaron says, I've had a couple of songs live streamed on a guitar community channel last week. That's cool. He said it was cool to hear my work streamed live. Many thanks for what you do here. Well, you're very welcome, and I'm glad to have been of service to you, and I hope that what I do here helps you make better music, make much, not just better, but better quality music, and give you some skills that you can take forward into developing your craft. I hope that that I achieve doing that for you, so that you can make better guitar music. Ken is here as well. Martin Weeks is here. He says, hope you're feeling better. I am a tiny bit. Ken says, been sick all week here too. Thankfully, we all tested negative and has, but definitely a bad cold is spreading. Yeah, it most certainly is. And I tell you, this one has absolutely floored me. Normally when I have a cold or something like that, it's fine. It's just I sneeze a bit and I have, a sore head, runny nose, runny eyes, that kind of thing. And, I don't feel great, but I can carry on, I can work, and I can get things done. But this one has absolutely floored me. I have struggled through this last week at Presonus, doing my day job with them. It's been really hard. It's been a real struggle. But I am very, very thankful to my management and also to my my co-workers, who have been incredibly helpful and supportive and have taken some of the load off me, so that I could actually get through the week without kind of collapsing in a heap. And I only actually had to take off one day, which was on Monday, where basically I woke up on Monday morning and I was just like, I cannot even get out of bed. And so my boss was absolutely cool about that, and my colleagues took my workload and spread it between them. So they have been fantastic. So a big thank you to them and to senior management of Presonus for their support. Yeah, but as I say, this one has absolutely floored me. Bob Steers here says, gotta see little Johnny when I can. Well, you're very welcome. Just Bob is here as well, and Mike is here. He says hello all, popping in for a few minutes. Can't hang out tonight. Doctor's orders. Apparently that's to do with his 13-year-old, so that they can have some family chill time and watch a movie. That's cool. Kyle is here as well. Let's see. Mike says, glad to see that you're feeling better. I'm not really, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging for another week, to be honest. So I had a sleep this afternoon. I went and lay down on our bed, and we've got a TV in the bedroom, so I was kind of dozing in and out of watching Apollo 13. You know it's Christmas when movies like Apollo 13 are on, so I was kind of dozing watching that, which is cool, because I like that film. And it has the late Bill Paxton in it, who is one of my favourite actors, to be honest. So I was kind of snoozing watching that for a while. And that's actually given me enough energy to be able to do a show tonight. I don't think I could have done it if I hadn't had a sleep. So, big thank you to my wife for being supportive and allowing me to do that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Drum Mike says, I thought most Christmas music didn't have a copyright. Some does, some doesn't. There you go. You probably didn't know that. There are some which, some Christmas songs, Christmas carols that are kind of, they are labeled as traditional in as much as they have passed out of their copyright and are therefore in the public domain. However, because a lot of these public domain songs get recorded, they then fall under new copyright for the mechanical copyright. So that means every time there is a new recording by a performing artist of any kind, the YouTube algorithm is going to hear me play Silent Night and is going to match that with one of those recordings. And that is where I will come into issue with copyright. Not because the music itself is under copyright, because it isn't. It's mostly public domain. There are some songs that aren't, though we think that they are. For the most part, they're not. They're in public domain. They are regarded as traditional and have no copyright attribution. But there are mechanical performance rights that are in effect, which means, as I say, if I perform Silent Night on the piano, or if I start singing it on something like this show, or if I was to make a video of it, the problem would be that the algorithm on YouTube would match my performance with a pre-existing recording that is under copyright to that particular performing artist and the publisher of that record. So that's where the issue is. And I know it sucks, but it is just the way it is. Just Bob says, all good, take care and rest when you need to. Absolutely. Thomas says, in the Philippines, they start Christmas things in September. They start things ridiculously early here as well. It's just like shopping malls and places like that. They start putting their Christmas decorations up at the end of September, and it's just like, what are you doing? Christmas isn't until, December 24th, 25th. It's just like, do you really have to monetize 3 months prior to Christmas? And it's just like, it's gotten out of control. It's just like, I'm pretty sure that when we get to 12th night, January 6th, Epiphany, and everyone takes down their Christmas trees and puts away their Christmas decorations for another year, I'm pretty sure that you will start seeing new stock going out for Christmas for next year. And it's just like, that's how absurd it is going to get eventually, as they keep moving the kind of Christmas, the Christmas monetizing period. They're going to keep moving it back until it's like the height of summer and Christmas music is starting to be played and decorations are starting to go back up. It's just like, no, that's ridiculous. Yeah. That's what I think. And Mike is away to go and watch Fast and Furious. See, I I hope it's like the first one. The first one was great. Second one was not bad. Third one, meh, it was okay. And I think we're on to the 9th one now, and oh my gosh, they are just bad. Now, some of the most recent Fast and Furious was actually filmed here in Edinburgh, which is great. I got to go and see some of it being filmed. I unfortunately didn't make the cut for becoming an extra in the Fast and Furious, which is a bit of a shame, because I've been an extra in a number of films that have been shot here in the last 15 years. And it's a great little side gig to have, actually, if you have some time on your hands, and you want to make some extra money. Go and, sign up for an agency that hire extras, or, just turn up on set. That's the other thing you can do. Turn up on set and say, and go and talk to the director, to the producers, and say, hey, do you need people to walk through set or walk through a particular scene? And sometimes you can be hired on the spot, and they'll say, yes, we'll pay you 50, 60, 70 pounds, and all you do is just walk through the scene. And if they shoot it in one take, then that's it. That's your job done. You could do 5 minutes work for 70 pounds. But if there may be several takes, because maybe they'll shoot it from different angles, and they'll edit it all together. So you'll have to walk through the scene several times in a row. But that's just par for the course. But yeah, those are, it's a nice little side gig to get. And sometimes you can end up landing yourself a little bit more of a significant role than just walking rather than just walking through the scene. Sometimes you can end up with a little bit more interaction with the actors, if you get known a little bit. And I did it a lot when I was in London, and I do it a little bit here in Edinburgh. But yeah, certainly when I was doing it in London, I got well known amongst casting directors, and so they knew what I could and couldn't do. And of course, not having an equity card, that meant I couldn't get speaking roles, but I could certainly interact with actors and in a scene. So I did that quite a bit. But yeah, if you want to get a little bit of extra money, doing that is pretty cool. So Fast and Furious some of it was shot here, and it's great fun to go and watch it being shot. Sean Aaron says, I like the membership idea. Cool. I'm glad to hear that. Bobby says you were supposed to have a membership some time ago. Yeah, that wasn't for YouTube. I was going to build a membership platform. Kind of a little bit like Dave's Mixing Made Easy. I was going to do something similar to that. But once I started investigating it and looking into how to build such a thing, and I realized how hard it is actually to scale from scratch, it's pretty hard. And at the time, I kind of needed to be to have a bit more of a solid base of money coming in, and that really wasn't going to be the way to do it. So I shelved the idea. I may well revisit that idea some day further down the line. I have not completely closed the door to actually building a proper membership site, but YouTube does have a membership platform built into it, but you have to have a certain number of subscribers, or at least you did have to have a certain number of subscribers before you could get it. You could get access to it, but I don't actually technically qualify, but I sent an email to the guys at YouTube and gave them a pretty darn good reason why it would be nice if they would let me have access, and they granted that to me. So that was pretty cool. So I'm certainly looking at whether or not I'm going to do that. Having had them grant it to me, I still may not do it, but there you go. Bob Studio says nothing wrong with a sputum-laden mic filter. Yeah, these ones from Rode are pretty good because they're kind of double layered. So I can take them off and give them a good clean. Martin says I got to do that a long time ago. In the fact the whole school body was involved. 2 days, $100, and that was back in the 70s. Yeah, you can actually earn quite a bit from being an extra. If you have time to do it regularly, then it is definitely something that you can do for a good bit of extra money. Hang on. There we go. The bottom of my coaster got stuck to the bottom of the bottom of my mug, and fell off. I'm not sure what you mean, Lorenz. I don't really know what you mean by that. Sorry, mate. And I've rolled over my headphone cable. Hang on. There we go. All right. Okay, you guys got questions? Because we are 22 minutes into the show, and I'd like to get questions taken care of and answer your questions, because that's what Sunday Night Live is at the moment predominantly for. So please get those questions in, and I would be delighted to answer those for you. For the next half an hour or so, before I need to go back to bed. So let me know what you guys want to do. What questions you have, because we've got a small audience here. We've only got like 17 people here. We would normally have many more than this. We'd normally be up at we'd normally have another 10, another 15 people here. Did you get a chance to watch that Bill Payne video I sent you? No, I didn't. I'm afraid. Like I said, I've been totally out of it for the most part of this week, and I've not really been paying that much attention to social media, to be honest. So yeah, I've got a lot of catching up to do. Because I'm supposed to be one of the moderators in the Persona Studio 1 Facebook group and a few other groups. And I've not really had a whole lot of time to be doing that this week. So, sorry about that. I haven't looked into that. Anyone got any other questions? So we can make this episode worthwhile. Let's see what else we got here. Cleon is here. Sorry, I didn't see you, Cleon. He says good evening from Trinidad. Finally made it. Cleon, very, very, very warm welcome to you. I'm glad you're here, and I'm sorry I did not see what you posted until like nearly 10 minutes after you posted it. Sorry about that. Let's see. Ken says, can you explain the idea of mid-side and where in the mix it is most important to pay attention? That's a great question. Mid-side is an interesting form of processing. And I'll be honest, it's not something that I use particularly extensively. But here's what it is, so that people are not confused at all by what it is. Now, some of you will already know this. And if you do, that's great. You can kind of temporarily switch off. That's fine. But for those of you that have no idea what is meant by mid-side, it's basically a form of processing where you are able to process the center, the mid, of your mix and the sides separately. So you can apply compression or EQ to the mid that is different to the sides. The effect of this is that it can broaden out your stereo image quite a bit when applied correctly. Now, you can do it broadly across the whole of your mix by doing some mid-side processing on your master bus, or you can do it on like a particular instrument, like maybe your drum bus, so that you get the sides maybe a little bit brighter than the center of the drum mix. You can also, so that's kind of like from an EQ perspective. You can also do it from a compression perspective as well. So you have a different compression setting for the center and a different compression settings for the sides. There are ways to do this. You can use the channel splitter function in Studio One, which is a phenomenally powerful little tool that not a lot of people use, not a lot of people know about it. But it's there, and there are a couple of things that's really handy about the channel splitter. And I've done a 3-part video series on the splitter tool, how you can use it for processing, doing parallel compression. But rather than the traditional way of doing parallel compression, where you create a second channel and you process that second channel and you do a pre-fade ascend from your original channel to the second channel, and you squash the living daylights out of your second channel. That's kind of like the traditional method of doing parallel compression, and that's the one that I use the most because I come from 30 years of Cubase, and that's how we did it. There was no splitter function in Cubase. As far as I know, there still isn't a splitter function in Cubase. But in Studio One, the splitter, you can do it that way. You can also use the splitter tool to separate the center from the sides, and you can do different things. Like you can boost the highs of the sides and scoop the mids of the center. Just using that splitter tool. It's very, very easy to do, but it's a little bit tricky to get your head around. And a lot of people, I will be really honest, a lot of people will toss around the expression mid-side or mid-side processing, and they'll just toss it out there in a discussion on Facebook or on Instagram or on Twitter or somewhere, or on Gear Slots or, wherever. And, a lot of people chuck that term around because it makes them appear to be more knowledgeable than they perhaps actually are. They don't really go on to describe what it is or how to use it or how it works. They'll say, hey, you should just mid-side that, or, those kind of things. And that actually annoys me a lot. I'll be honest. But that's a really good question. And one of the ways I've done it is actually on a guitar bus. Like if I've got a whole bunch of guitars, which I don't tend to have in most of the mixes that I do, but occasionally I get a song where I've got like 10 or 11 guitar tracks. And so what I'll do is I'll bus them together, and I will process the sides different to how I process the center. And that makes those guitars, even though they're already panned, it makes them kind of even wider. So it can be cool for things like that. It can be cool for things like if you're recording acoustic guitar in stereo. Let's say you have a single solo acoustic guitar and vocal, maybe. And you can record the acoustic guitar in stereo with a stereo pair in XY configuration or something like that. And then you can bus those two together, and then you can mid-side process that so that you get some extra width out of it. Things like that. That's kind of where mid-side processing comes into its own, that you can make a single solo acoustic guitar sound huge and really, really broad and wide, and keep the vocal nice and clear up the middle. So the vocal owns the center of the mix, and then the guitars are kind of spread right across the stereo spectrum. And it means that you end up with a much broader stereo field, even though you've only got two audio sources. So that's kind of mid-side in a nutshell, and where you can use it. But it isn't something that you always need to do, and it's not something that I recommend to people that are kind of just starting out, because it is quite a kind of advanced technique to apply. And so, yeah, so I don't recommend everybody use it. Could you set up and do an example of mid-side using the splitter? Unrehearsed? Yeah, I maybe could. Let me see. Let me think about a way to do this. Do I need to just create a new song to do this and grab some loops? Maybe. Let's see what we can do. This is totally unrehearsed, folks. Let's see what we've got. I'm looking to see what loops I have here that we can just grab. Okay, I'm going to go and share my screen and we can explore this together. Alright, so we are over here and I'm just going to take a quick listen. So you can kind of take a sort, I mean, these are stereo files anyway, which is kind of annoying, but yeah, it'll do. So I can take this little loop here and I can just quickly stick a loop around there. So we've got this guy here. Now that's already got like a wah-wah effect going on. But what we can do is we can go and open the splitter. Now, this is a cool little thing. I mean, this is already stereo, but let's say it wasn't. Let's make it mono. Okay, there we go. So we've made that mono. Let's in fact bounce that to mono. So we'll go Control B. There we go. Now, what I'm going to show you here is kind of not entirely 100% mid-side, but it kind of creates the same effect. So let's do that. Let's go and open the channel editor. So you get to that by clicking this little button down here. And then you go to here where it says routing or routing, whichever way you want to pronounce it. And then you can have a splitter like this. And then you've got your normal split, and then you've got channel split, and you've got frequency split. So frequency split, by the way, is really, really cool because it means you can process the lows in one way, and you can process the highs or anything above this level to whatever you want. And I've shown that in my splitter videos, so you get to see how those work. But the channel split is where you split between left and right. And so for this, I think you need the mix tool, if memory serves, because I've not done this for a while. Let's go and grab that mix tool. Where are you, mix tool? So mix tool needs to go before the splitter. I think it needs to go before the splitter. I might have done this wrong. MS transform. Let's go back over to our splitter. And then I think what you do is, I'm trying to remember how to do this. Like I say, it's been a while since I've done any mid-side, but yeah, you can effectively just process the left one way or the right a different way with a different EQ or a different compressor, and then recombine everything. So yeah, that's essentially how it would work. But like I say, I don't really do this. Excuse me, 1 second. I'm just going to mute my mic for a second. Bear with me. Okay, let's change the channel condition to stereo, actually. There we go. There we go. So I've got it in stereo mode. I should have had it in stereo mode to start with. So you can invert the left, you can invert the right, you can swap the channels, you can do all sorts of fun and funky stuff here. And then you can, let's see. So we can go and grab an EQ over here. And we can go and grab an EQ over here. And so I can go to this one. And I'm going to go and do that one there, just for fun. And then on this one, over here, I'm going to go and do that one there. So I've got two different EQs on either side now. That kind of didn't work. Why did that not work? Oh, I think I need to recombine afterwards. I need to get the mix tool out again, I think. It's been a long time since I've done this, so I can't quite remember what I'm doing. Oh, I got the mix verb. I didn't want to get that. Remove that. I wanted the mix tool, not the mix verb. And then go back over there, like that. So now we can adjust the EQs. So I can go and edit this one. I can make this really super duper thin. And go back to our channel editor here. So it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. You can process the different sides in different ways. And that's essentially all really I do with it. Whether that's 100% correct or not, I don't know. But that's essentially what mid-side processing is. It's just being able to process the sides different to the center and vice versa. So I hope that helps answer that question for you. Elves Media is here. Hello, mate. Good to see you. Welcome. We've got about 20 minutes left, and we've had a question there on mid-side processing, which I kind of had to remember how to do it because it's been so long since I've done it. Because it's not something that I do very, very often at all. It's maybe once in a blue moon that I will have a mix that requires me to do that. Like I said, if I have lots of guitars and I want to increase the width of those guitars, then that's one way to do it. Another cool feature, actually, of the splitter function, which I will show you, because it is very, very cool. And what we'll do is we will we'll copy this to another channel and we'll mute that. We'll put that back out to stereo. This is another cool thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do with the channel splitter is actually put two different amplifiers on the different sides. This is very cool, and I showed this in my splitter video, but I'm happy to show it again just because it is so much fun to be able to do it. So let's see. Channel split, I think, is the mode I want. And I want to go and grab Ampere over here and over here. Now on Ampere 1, I'm going to go and edit this. And I'm going to go for that one there. Okay? Then I'm going to go back over here. And I'm going to go to Ampere 2. And I'm going to go for that one there. So we now got two different amp setups. Now, that's obviously clipping to Hades and back, so we're going to turn that down. So you can see how powerful that is in making that guitar just sound ridiculously wide compared to this. So what that's done really is I've split the channel into two different splits. Well, into two, effectively. And I put two different guitar amps with different pedals, different cabinets, different heads, the works, different mics, the works, on two different channels, and then it obviously recombines. Now, the trick there in the channel editor is to be able to balance them up. It's a little bit left heavy right now, and I kind of used the ampli to kind of do it, but really I could have done it a little bit better by pulling that down a little bit there. Let's try that. There you go. So you can balance by dragging these little faders down a little bit to kind of balance it at the end. And of course, if you want to make sure that your input and output is equal, then go grab the mix tool, slap that on the bottom there, and make sure that your input and output levels are matched. So you can do that. Hang on. Why wouldn't it let me do that? There we go. So I can just go grab that, and I can go, okay, it's a little bit loud overall, so let's turn it down a bit. There we go. Perfect. And so that's made sure that our input and output is balanced. Let's just check with out. There's a question here that says, can you automate that to gradually increase in width? You could, if you could find a way to... I don't think you can automate these guys. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to put a couple of gain plugins here, and then maybe map those to the same controller. Maybe in some way map those to the same controller for volume automation, and then you could just kind of gradually turn it up that way. Or you could, I don't know, that might be a way to do it, is put some gain plugins here and have them balanced so that you can basically just gradually increase that effect if you want to, without it affecting the input output. That'd be the thing that you'd run up against, is the input and output. So you'd be gradually increasing the width, but you'd also have to, by default, be gradually increasing the volume as well. So I don't know how entirely possible that is, but you would be it would be well worth investigating and seeing how possible that is. Lollipop Girl says, it sounds like it's going from front to back, which is what makes me think it would be fun automated. Yeah, I suppose it kind of is, and that's because there is more reverb on Ampere 2 than there is on Ampere 1. Which is probably what is giving you that back to front effect, because the, reverb tends to push things further back in the mix, whereas, no reverb or a delay instead doesn't have that effect. So Ampere 1 over here doesn't really have any reverb, I don't think, whereas Ampere 2 definitely does. So that's maybe what is giving you that effect, as well as it's actually creating width because you've got two different amp sounds. So if you want a really wide guitar, sound effect, you know, a wide stereo image out of a single guitar source, this is definitely a way to do it. And yes, I have done this in a mix, which is where I kind of stumbled upon this idea in the first place, was working on a guy's song, and he had just a single guitar part. He hadn't really thought about doing any other guitar parts. He had like one rhythm guitar part and one lead guitar part, and that was it. He hadn't really thought about doing any other parts. And I thought, well, I could duplicate the track and put it slightly out of phase and get the stereo image that way, but that's not entirely effective because you end up with phase problems. That means this, one or other guitar just sounds thin, and there's no way to add the lows back in with EQ because it just doesn't work. Because you just, you compound the phase problems. So, this is what I stumbled across, and it works. And, the client that I was working with was really impressed, and he was just like, how did you get that guitar to sound so wide? I just ran it through 2 different amp sims and combined the source after the fact. And it worked really, really well. So, yeah, I kind of stumbled upon that. You can also just have the track doubled and automate between the two. Yeah, you could do that. You could certainly make a copy and then kind of do some volume automation to bring in the part that is doubled like this using this splitter effect and crossfade effectively between the 2 channels. So you could have a straight channel that doesn't have any of this processing on it and is very much mono. And then you could do some volume automation so that one increases and the other decreases to create like a crossfade effect. So you could certainly do it that way, for sure. Ken says, thanks, Johnny. This really helps me understand the concept. You're very welcome. Yeah, the channel splitter is so freaking powerful. It's awesome. I love it. It's one of the features in Studio One that I don't think a lot of people use very much. But you can have loads of different splitters. You can split the channel 5 ways to Sunday if you want to. And then recombine it all. So you could have like 2 different amps. You could have 2 different EQs. You could have, 2 different delay settings and have them kind of crossing over each other. You could do all sorts of crazy things with this splitter and create some kind of really unique sound that nobody's doing. So definitely play with the splitter and take a look at how it works and, try out some of the crazy things that you can do that are probably a little bit rule bending, rule breaking, but there you go. With the binaural plugin work in this example for widening the mid-side effects? Good question. I don't think so. It might. To be fair, I don't use... this is another plugin that I don't really use a ton of. See, here's the thing with the binaural pan. It is kind of like a mid-side plugin. Kind of is a little bit, I suppose. Under the hood, here's what the binaural pan does. It turns up the sides, fundamentally. If you don't touch this pan control here, it fundamentally just turns up the sides. That's all it does. And it just creates the impression that the signal is wider, when in fact, it's not really. It's just the sides are louder than the center. That's it. That's all it does. So yeah, you could do it that way, I suppose. I don't tend to really use this. I maybe will use the binaural pan. Sorry. I will maybe use the binaural pan at the very end of a mix when I have totally finished with it. And maybe I want just to get a little bit more volume on the extreme edges of the mix. But you have to be careful with this, because you can inadvertently affect the phase relationship within your mix by turning this up too much. You can end up with the center folding in on itself. And then you lose a lot of the punch that's in the middle because your bass guitar is in the middle, your kick drum is in the middle, your vocals are in the middle, and suddenly all of those will kind of bottom out because the sides end up out of balance with the center. So be careful with this guy. Don't turn it up too much. Kind of find that sweet spot where the mix does have the perceived widening, but without losing the balance between the center and the sides. So be careful with it. But yes, it would kind of do that. Just Bob says, I forget about it. It seems like a great way to balance out and not fight headspace with multiple guitar tracks. It can certainly have that effect, yeah. Ken says, to me, the guitar example is a great way to get around doubling the track without introduced phasing. Am I getting this right? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I use it for. It's a little bit cheaty, but to me, it's effective. It's effectively like taking the same guitar and running it through two literally different amps and then busing those to a stereo bus is effectively what you're doing in the real world. If you were to do this in the real world, that's what you would do. You would mic up amp A and amp B, and you would somehow get the guitar signal into those two amps, maybe through some kind of physical channel splitter, so that you got left and right into each guitar amp. You make the changes so that the two guitar tones are different, and then you would record that to a stereo track. That's effectively what you're doing. And yes, it does kind of mean that the left is going to sound different to the right, which gives you that sense of space, that sense of extra width, which is what you heard. So yeah, it would certainly have that effect. So yeah, I hope that helps. But it's a cool little trick, and it's a lot of fun to do. Now here's the interesting thing, is that you can kind of use a variation on this without using the amplifier, by the way. You can kind of use a variation on this if you want your overheads to be a little bit wider and to be a little bit brighter on one side than the other, perhaps, for drums. But yeah, you wouldn't use the amplifier, but you'd use the same kind of using the splitter and processing one side different to the other to achieve that. So yeah, have fun with it and see how many different applications you can get with it. Because this is certainly one. Works really great for guitars. It will probably work really great for other sources as well. You could probably do this with vocals. Like, if you wanted this to happen on a lead vocal in just like the last chorus, for example, and you want suddenly the lead vocal to be huge and wide, this would be a way to do it. But yeah, not using amplifier, use something different. Find a different way to kind of do that. But using the channel split really, really works. So I hope that helps everybody. But yeah, it's a ton of fun. A ton of fun, I tell you. Let's see where we at. We peaked at around about 20 today, which is a little bit down on what we usually have. But I guess it is heading towards Christmas, and I guess you guys are all kind of caught up with, seeing to that and thinking about, still doing your Christmas shopping. I haven't even started mine. My wife has finished all of hers and has started receiving deliveries for them already. She is so far ahead of me, but she does this every year. So, I ought to be used to it by now. But yeah, I hope that little trick was helpful to you. It's a good question, and it hopefully prompted a very good answer. Let's see, have I missed anything? One Pop says, way too advanced for me. I'll take your word for it. Yeah, mid-side can be pretty tricky to get right. Which is why I never ever advocate mid-side processing for people who are just starting out, because it's too much. It's too much. It's it's something that only really needs done, I think, on certain genres. Not every genre is going to need you to do this. But it can be useful in a variety of different ways. So it is something worth pursuing, but, get your basics under your belt first and get confident with the basics, just working in a conventional way with normal stereo processing. Get that kind of squared away so that you're really confident with that, and then you can kind of revisit mid-side processing and the best way to approach it. I mean, kind of what I did with the 2 guitar amps and using the channel splitter to do that, that kind of is a little bit mid-side, I suppose, in that you're affecting the side different to how you're affecting the center of the stereo signal. I suppose. It's a little bit different. It's not entirely the same thing, but there you go. Martin says that he's starting to fade. Yeah, so am I. So it is kind of pretty much, we've got about 2 minutes to go. So for those of you that want to stick around for 2 more minutes, I will run for 2 more minutes. So I will take one more question. Just Bob says that he shops on the 26th. That's funny. Yeah, shopping on the 26th. So yeah, I will take another question. Oh, I clipped my mic there. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll take another question, and we will call it a night. So whoever gets the question in right now, I will do the first question. So whoever is the one that gets that in will be the lucky winner of getting the last question. So get typing, folks. And let's see what you've got. If you've not got anything, then we will call it a night. And we'll end the show. But it's kind of up to you guys. I'm happy to stick around a little bit. Always happy to stick around for a little bit. Although our viewing figures are starting to drop off now. So we're down to about 13. So maybe we should call it. But I'm going to look at the chat. Could your mid-side processing be used to create a swirling sound effect? Maybe. Maybe if you put like rotor on one side and rotor on the other side and set them at different speeds and different widths and that kind of thing, different horn sizes, that kind of stuff, maybe. That might be one way to do it. You could certainly try it. See what happens. Maybe having different rotating speeds on left and right might work for you. I'll tell you one thing I do, actually. This will be my parting shot, okay? One last thing. And I'm going to create a new track for this. Which I'm just going to call me. Hello. Let's go on the right there. This is one thing I like to do. Let's what am I going to do? Let me think about how I'm going to do this for a second. Let's go and get pedal board. I like me some pedal board for my Fender Rhodes. We'll go keys and we'll go. We'll do a little bit of this. We'll lose the reverb because we don't want that. Turn the mix down of the delay. There we go. And what else will we do? Let's get X-Trem. X-Trem is very cool. We'll get some X-Trem going on here. And we'll go pan. And we'll go pan rhythm. No, not pan rhythm. Slow side pan. There we go. And then what we'll do is we'll adjust this to half notes. I'll make it nice and smooth. Now, we're not going to hear that because this needs to be a stereo channel. There we go. Ah, yeah, you guys can't see my screen. Sorry. All right, so let me see you again. Let me show you again what I did. So, we went and we got pedal board, and we've got the phaser 90, and we've got some delay with the mix turned almost down to nothing, and I've turned off the reverb stomp. Don't want that. And then we close that, and then we go to X-Trem. We put it on the slow pan sweep, and then we just put it to this little sine wave mode here rather than the square wave. And full 100% of the modulation. And then set this to half notes with the tempo synced. And we close that. And this gives you a nice kind of stereo panning effect. Now at that tempo, that's maybe the X-Trem's a little bit slow. So let's increase this a little bit. Let's try that. Yeah, that's better. Gonna adjust that phaser a little bit. Take the speed down just a little bit. So there you go. That kind of gives you that nice little swelling effect that you're after. With a bit of pedal board, a little bit of X-Trem. Works really great on a Fender Rhodes kind of sound. But, you know, you could do it on your voice as well, I suppose. If we went like that. Hello. That only appears to be coming out one side. Hang on. Let's... hello. There we go. Tra-la-la. So yeah, you can certainly do that with a vocal and have lots of weird fun with it. Alright, so there you go. I hope that helps. That was a lot of fun to do. And with that, we will end the show. Lollipop Guild says, well, that sounds great, so relaxing. I'm glad you found it so. It was good fun. And I clipped. So, I hear Steely Dan. Yeah, maybe you do a little bit. You know, I could do, Let's see if we get copyright strike for this. Hang on. Let's see if we get a copyright strike for this. We probably will. Oh, hang on. Let's get that back on. There you go. Or I could have done this. That's another one of my favorite songs. Both of those were in my my set list for many years. Keep running over my headphone cable. Yeah, both of those songs were in my set list for many, many years. Quite likely I'll get a copyright strike for that. But hey, no. Yeah, I haven't been feeling very well. Yeah, I've been absolutely floored by flu. But thank you very much for everybody's very kind concern. You guys have been terrific. I'm glad you guys have found tonight's show helpful. And on that note, I will say a very good night to you, and I will see you hopefully on Wednesday, depending on how I'm feeling, but hopefully Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified over with Jonny, and we will do the topic that we were going to do last week, but we couldn't because of Jonny's internet. All right, so I will see you then, folks. Good night.